I launched a review. It was of my Prime 1 Studios Bumblebee. At the beginning of it, I said, if you're watching this, I question how valuable your time is, as a joke. And I instantly got a few thumbs down. And it was within, a minute or two of launching the video. If that comment offended you, I really just want to say, my God, you're a snowflake. But let's jump into today. And I know the first thing you're thinking is, my God, it's Mr. X again. That's right. My God, Mr. X is reviewing a custom statue. That's right. My God, Mr. X is reviewing a Silver Surfer again. That's right. But the good thing is, there's an interesting story behind this one. This is the Extreme channel where we have extreme collectibles. That's a big part of the channel, and I have another one in front of me. And not only is it another one in front of me, it's of my favorite character. I said in the beginning, there's a little bit of an interesting story about this guy. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the background info, and then we are going to do an extreme review on him using the extreme scale, which is a 1 through 5 scale. The interesting story is I saw this guy teased about 18 months to 24 months ago, and it's from a custom group that I've bought a few things. One of them I have at my office where this is going. It's a custom Venom bust. Check this out. Pretty badass. It's totally different than the Sideshow one, even though I have the Sideshow one and I like it. Then I also have a joint venture. They're doing a Dormammu.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
You've come to die.
And then also a Punisher on Throne I'm really excited about because you guys know I love throne pieces. And if you're new to the channel, guess what? I love throne pieces. But I saw him and I instantly wanted to buy him. I knew he was from a comic. I didn't know which comic. I knew it was a true reference of Surfer. But for some reason I held off. I can't remember why. And then they were selling them. They went up for pre-order and I practiced #restraint, which is very difficult for me. Again, if you're new to the channel, you'll learn what that is really quick. But I decided to pass and I was very proud of myself. And then one of my friends, I think he's my friend, he calls me his boy, but he calls everybody his boy. So you know what that means.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
He did a review of these. He got one of these in hand, and I was able to see the review early because I'm special. And when I saw it and all the close-ups, it was the first time I'd really seen close-up video of him. I was like, oh my, I need that character. And not only because I thought that was awesome, but I had recently read Planet Hulk, where this is adapted from. We're going to talk about. So I contacted the commissioner. He's like, I have 1 chrome left. Done. Pack that shit up. Let that shite up. We're trying to be a little more G-rated. Let's do it. And I got it a month later, and what's really cool is I didn't know I was receiving him. I didn't get tracking or anything, and I opened him up, ironically, the day after I received this other custom Silver Surfer, 1/4 scale. And here's the review on that. Extremely excited to get him. So before we start about the review, a little bit more background while we measure him. So first, at the widest point, he's probably around 15.5, 16 inches. His board, very tall, a little over 28. And then deep, we probably have about 13.5 inches or so. But you're looking at this guy, and I keep saying Silver Surfer. That's not entirely accurate. This is actually Silver Savage. But Mr. X, that looks like Silver Surfer. Well, he is Silver Surfer. So he comes from, I don't know what specific comic, but there's an omnibus, which is a group of comics together called Planet Hulk. And I recently read it right before I pulled the trigger on him. And if you haven't read that, but you've watched the Marvel Cinematic Universe, specifically the greatest Thor movie of all time, according to Rodney Jones, if you've seen Thor Ragnarok, there's some tie-ins to this. So Thor Ragnarok is not comic accurate. However, they did take some elements. That planet that Thor and Hulk went to and they fought in the Ring Gladiator style is where this is adapted from this comic. Now in this comic, Hulk is a gladiator Hulk who fights in an arena, but he doesn't actually fight Thor. He fights Silver Surfer, who is also a slave trapped on that planet, stripped of his cosmic powers. And this is where that is from. So there's a little bit of background for you. And actually, that's where I'm going to end up displaying him, is at my office with my gladiator Hulk. Hey, here's my review on that, by the way. Go check that out, because these are going to pair perfect together. And then also, I'm going to put the Thor Sideshow Premium format in the mix of this. And here's my review on that guy. Let's start the review on the extreme scale, which is a T through X, 1 through 5. T is trash, X is the best, in the middle is in the middle. That's how it works. Starting with the concept, and normally we just start at the bottom and go to the top, but first, before we do that, concept is about, is it cool looking? Does it make sense? Well, this is adapted from a comic, and we want to know how accurate that is. So here's a side-by-side of both of them together. I think they nailed the accuracy of the comic. There's a few questionable things on the base we're going to look at in a second, but that's a big, big pro for the concept. Now let's look at it. Starting at the bottom, the concept is, so he's on a different planet. There's different creatures here. That's displayed by having these giant tentacles. You don't see a body or a head. They're going through these other skulls that are larger than Silver Surfer, and Silver Surfer is human size. So these are some other types of creatures that have been killed in the arena or wherever he's at. And as you move up, he has some gladiator-style armor on because he does not have his cosmic powers. He's not invincible, even though he's pretty badass in the comic. And as we move up farther, first you're going to see two things that are kind of weird. One, you might see some black foam I haven't unpacked because I'm taking him to my office right after this. Two, he has a loincloth, which doesn't make sense to me. I know it's following the accuracy of the comic, but why does he need to cover up his junk when he's not cosmic? Is it not powerful? I don't know. And moving up even further, you see some more leather straps, some gauntlets on his arm, the shoulder armor. You see the control chip, just like the Gladiator Hulk has, that keeps him in line, keeps away his cosmic power. You'll see a sword coming out of the back, which we'll talk about in a second. He's holding the mace. And of course, he's using his board as a shield. And there's a few different portraits we're going to talk about. But I love the concept, and I'm sitting here as I'm thinking about it. What would I change about this concept? I don't think I'd change anything. While this is a museum pose, it seems like he's ready to fight. There's a lot of action going on. I think it's a perfect concept, and that's why I pulled the trigger. It's an X on the concept. Like I said, I have to give it an X because I don't know what I would change or improve about it. Next category is design. Design, we talk about displayability, functionality. Did it go together well? Does it make sense? Was there a lot of complex engineering involved? Well, as a spoiler, I do have a big issue with mine. I reached out to the commissioner. He's already on it. I'm not too worried. I know something will be taken care of. A few different pieces he came in. The base is one piece, minus one little part. There's this green puddle that sets in there very, very loosely. It looks like it's supposed to key in somewhere, but according to the proto pictures, I can't find out how it does it or where it does it. So this could be user error, but I'm never wrong. Sorry. I was imitating my wife. But also what's interesting is on the prototype, here's a picture of it. This was actually blue. They painted it blue. So I don't know why they went with green. I don't even know why they have it. But the base was one piece. Surfer himself, minus his sword on the back, keys in. The mace has two different parts that key in through the open hand. He has two different portraits we're going to look at in a second. And the cutting was really smart on this. The seam line is where the gladiator straps are right here. So that hides the seam very, very well, which is especially important in an all-chrome body. Now, of those switch outs, let's look at both of them. First, here is the one I have on. It's a screaming head, which this is my preference. It really shows he's in the middle of a battle, so I think he's going to look awesome facing off against Gladiator Hulk. Or if you want, you can do a more serene Silver Surfer portrait, which also does not look bad. And then the left arm is a separate attachment holding the board, and the left shoulder right here. And that's where my display issue is. So I don't know why this is happening, but if you set the board in all the way, then the arm will not sit flush with the upper arm. The only way to make it happen is disconnect this shoulder up here, and I don't want to touch it. So essentially my temporary solution is there's a huge key or peg, however you want to call it, showing down below, which I can definitely live with that if we can't figure out another solution. And it took me a while because I had the board in flush and this would not connect. So the arm kept falling off, which I haven't had any issues overnight, so I think I'll be okay. But if they have a replacement piece, great. If not, I'm pretty easy going. One of the things we didn't talk about is since this is custom, they made 40 pieces. It's a private commission. And I think he's making 20 silver. So these are 40 chrome and then 20 silver. And the cost was $800. Another great thing about the design, it's actually a pro and con. The great thing is the bottom of the display, even though there's so much going on up here and down here, it doesn't take up a lot of space. Always a huge plus. However, the height of the board is way too high. Scale-wise, it's not. It's perfect. But it's hard to find a place to display this. Now, I'm not going to take any points off for that because you would rather have the board the right size. And I actually put this up next to some of my other custom Silver Surfer boards. You can check out the board on the previous custom one I did that was done in silver. That's the second time I've told you to watch it. Do it. So design-wise, it's a tough one. Like I said, there's some really good things. I think it's very nice. It's a 3 out of 5, and keep in mind that's not a bad score. Some pros and cons, nothing that blows me away. It's not incredibly complex engineering. Obviously, the issue does take away some points. Lastly, we're going to talk about paint and sculpt. And what's always interesting with Silver Surfer is we have chrome paint. Tough. We have chrome paint over a naked guy, so the anatomy is kind of tough. And as we move from top to bottom, we're going to talk about paint and sculpt together, and then at the end, we are going to talk about the rating of each one separately. I really like this base, and there's a lot going on. First, I want to look at the rock part of it. What's interesting is the sculpt of the rock is okay. You hear me say it all the time, huge critic of the rock bases. I think there could have been some more texture and design, but in their defense, this is an alien planet, so nobody knows what it really looks like. I like the color choices. There's so many colors on here. Orange, brown, green, white. And like I said, it's an alien planet, so you can pretty much go in any direction you want, but it looks really good. It contrasts the statue a lot. Here's some of the skulls, and there's some green blood on there, which we assume is from, the creature that's all wrapped around it, or the skulls themselves. And I think the skulls are really well done. They're humanoid-like. There's some cracks in them, and almost some moist, glistening parts around them. Let's look at these tentacles in this creature. Really cool, very graboid-like from Tremors. They have all those spikes around them that help them move through the dirt. These are obviously not graboids, but a very similar concept. Scaly, green. I like it. It's obviously not the main part of the statue, but kind of some neat Easter eggs down here. And some of these pictures you'll see, I thought at first that it was horrible glue jobs by the factory, but I think it's an intentional moist effect. And even if it is horrible glue jobs, I can't tell, so let's just pretend it's a cool moist effect. First at Surfer, let's look at his shin guards here. I think these are okay. There could have been some more detail in them. I like the purple color. The gold's not too bright. Check out the straps. They could have looked... these look brand new. I would have thought more gladiator style, more worn. Seen some battle. I don't think they provide slaves with brand new gear. And you'll see this throughout. As we move up, you know, doing chrome, I'm not a painter by any means, but I know it's incredibly difficult. And I think they did a decent job. There's a lot of smudge marks on mine, which is surprising. I actually used white gloves putting him together because I do that with chrome pieces specifically. So a lot of marks on him, which I just didn't expect. I don't know if they're from someone handling him or if it's, you know, with the paint job just isn't even. And then look at his anatomy. I think they did a good job on his legs. He's a little more buff than most Silver Surfers, but I think that goes along well with the gladiator aspect of the statue, so he doesn't look like this skinny, you know, frail little boy. Check out his loincloth. I like that they had this sculpted. It looks average. They could use some more detail, maybe some more wear in the paint. It looks a little too clean to me. Here's his upper torso. You have a couple things going on. Again, some muscle anatomy. Very fit, as Surfer usually is. Six-pack. And you see some of those imperfections in the chrome as well. Then here's the leather strap, a little bit more worn up here. The buckle on it, up to his shoulder blade, which we'll look at in a second. And then you see the control chip. Very accurate. It looks good. Let's flip to his back, where first I want to look at his back. So ignore the sword for now. But again, very nice anatomy on the back of his arm and his back itself. One of the interesting things, I don't know if you can see it here, his left arm has these weird segments in them where his right arm doesn't. Surfer doesn't have segments. So is this a special arm that they equipped him with? It doesn't make sense. I don't know what's going on there. It wasn't explained in the comic. And it's being really particular, but it is something you notice. The anatomy on his back is really well done. The sword here, I wish this was metal. It's not. It does look a little toyish. It's cool they put some designs in there. I'm definitely glad it's added. You know, you won't really see it because I'll be... actually, he'll probably be displayed from the side, so you will see it. Here's the shoulder armor that we were talking about. Again, most gladiator-type time period stuff have this with the arm they're blocking with. His right arm, here is his gauntlet. It's pretty much the same thing that was on his shin pads. Not really a lot different there. So let's move on to the mace. The mace looks okay. I think that just like the sword, it looks a little toyish. Could have been better. And then here is his board. You know, one side, it's boring. It's a board. But you don't want to do anything different to it. I'm glad they didn't add any damage marks to it because Surfer's board to me is impenetrable. The paint on the board seems a lot more clean than on Surfer himself, and that may be because of the sculpt. Here's the inside of it, where you see his arm holding it on. These straps look really good. They look more like mixed media than sculpt, which I think is the goal. So I think they did a nice job with that. Moving to his screaming portrait first, and what you're going to find is both of these are very similar other than the open mouth. So there's not a lot of definition in his face by any means. Obviously, having it open does give it some expression, especially around the mouth. And I don't know if I get a good shot of it here, but you can actually see his hanging ball in the backside of his throat. But it looks good. I like the expression. As I said at the beginning, it's very hard to have a lot of definition beneath chrome. This is by far, I like this head a lot better. And the other head is very similar. The only thing really different is the expression around the mouth. It's closed, lips pursed, a little more defined. So first, I think let's talk about the paint. I think the base is a V. It's very good. I think there's some opportunity with the chrome because of the nicks and stuff like that. It was packaged really well, so I don't feel like that happened in packaging. And I feel like they would have fixed it at the factory if they could. So I think I got to give the paint a U on this, sadly, which I hate to do. And I do have two other Chrome Surfers to compare this with, and they didn't have that, and this did. So I think the paint had some opportunity, 2 out of 5. The sculpt, I think, is... I think the anatomy on Surfer is very good. The base could have used some more details in the rocks. I think the creature, the skulls were very good. I think there could have been more detail on all of his accessories, especially his sword and his armor and the mace here. So I think the sculpt is just a V, very nice. Which brings us to the last question. Does this have the extreme factor? Am I happy with this statue? I want to remind everyone, V, 3 out of 5 is very nice. That means I think I got what I paid for and I'm satisfied with the purchase. This falls into that. I think $800, my favorite character and a very awesome concept. He's going to look so cool next to the other ones, which we're going to look at in just a second. Very happy with this piece. Few things that I would have changed, but again, you're kind of going off doing a totally different concept too, so you're going into dangerous territory as well to start with. But here's what he looks like from the future. So I haven't seen this yet. I'm actually taking this picture tomorrow. I'm hoping it looks as awesome as I think it will. So at the end here, I'm going to have some links to my other Silver Surfer reviews. Go ahead and check those out. Let me know which of my 4 customs you like best, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care, guys.